Now, we bring you through your second part of the Sideline Chat podcast for this week, your NRL round 23-24 debrief. Good God, we've reached this point already? Honestly, I can't believe we have, but that's besides the point. Starting off, Melbourne Storm down in the Gold Coast Titans, 34 points to 20.
We kind of knew this result was going to happen, in
But
all
not the
honesty.
way it would happen.
Well, no. That's another good point made there. Look, the Titans, to only lose by 14 points is a good effort, don't get me wrong. I thought it was going to be more of a bigger loss for the Gold Coast, but turns out to be they didn't.
The Titans controlled probably the first half an hour of that game, and it showed. And the two tries that Jaden Campbell scored.
Oh, mate.
What?
He's a good young kid.
What was that?
Oh, I don't know, especially his first try. He came from literally nowhere and planted that ball down. Unbelievable.
Mad. It was absolutely mad the way he got over. And I think that second try from the kick. Oh.
Yeah. He is a big future for the Titans, and he's bringing the Campbell name back to the Gold Coast Titans.
Well, a big name for the Titans that's been locked up for the next 4 seasons as it currently stands. So it's like, you're putting a performance like that, we're handing you a contract, son. You're not going anywhere.
Well, yeah, why would you want to let someone go of a performance that he put in? Why would you not snap him back up?
You know, I'm going to be half jealous of the Titans next year because they'll have AJ Brimson back, who we know is probably amongst the top 10 fullbacks at the moment. And then they'll have Jaden Campbell, who's just like, if Brimson goes down or is moved to 5'8", this guy will be playing fullback. And from what we've seen already, just... You can't necessarily say that you hate the Titans for that, but just...
Yeah, no, he's got a very, very big future there. And like you said, Brimson goes down, he's there. Or if Brimson gets moved, he is their long-term fullback, Jaden Campbell.
But I will tell you, the Melbourne Storm, even when they're on the ropes early, never discount them. And that left edge, the left edge of the Melbourne Storm, Munster, and in particular, I want to single out Josh Addo-Carr, 2 tries, 2 try assists, 181 running meters, and 5 tackle breaks.
Yeah.
Everyone thought he had gone quiet. Well, here he is. Loud.
Yeah, well, even I thought he had gone quiet for someone of his caliber, but like you said, he's back. Nico Hines playing in the halves, and with Pappenhausen at fullback for the full 80 minutes. It was actually not a bad start to his halves career in first grade, because we know he's going to be there in the halves at the Sharks next year, so it was a good start.
Well, I think Craig Bellamy, because we all know Jerome Hughes is going to get rested, or he did get rested for this game. And so I think Bellamy's experiment worked out pretty well. They got Ryan Pappenhausen at fullback. He's starting to really come on good now. Just as he was at the start of the year before he had that injury at Magic Round. And I tell you what, Marion Seve, this guy, for the opening try for the Melbourne Storm, not cited at all up until this point.
No, he was
out of favour, unfortunately, with the way first Branko Lee was playing, and then the way Remus Smith is currently playing. He comes into the side when Justin Olam is rested, and he gets his first try of the year on his first game back for the Melbourne Storm in a year.
Yeah, what a good way to
talk about perseverance. To be waiting that long and to finally be rewarded.
Well, yeah, it was a good way to get that good reward, like first time playing in a long time, and like to get a try as well to top it off, and the team winning. That's a very, very happy night out for Murray and Seve right there.
And this was the first time that the David Fafita strategy for Justin Holbrook didn't work. Like where he comes off the bench, sort of like 20 minutes in, and then he tries and turns the game on its head. That didn't work this time.
No,
it didn't. The Titans were up. It didn't work.
No, so I don't know what the go was there. Maybe the Storm
worked
I've
it out
been,
first.
yeah, pretty much. Just about to say, yeah. Maybe I was going to say the Storm watched video footage over the last couple of weeks and knew what was going to happen. So yeah, like pretty much knew what was going to happen.
I would have thought the instruction would have been when David Fafita comes onto the field, go at him in defence, work him over, and then get ready to receive some punishment when he tries to bust your line open down on our left-hand channel. That would have been the instructions Craig Bellamy would have been working out leading up into that game.
It would have been. It obviously would have been. And, well, he didn't try to really bust his way up through the line.
But at the end of the day, the Melbourne Storm just, once again, too good. And back for the Titans, back to the drawing board, especially as we enter the final 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, that
where
really...
top 8 spots are starting to become a very rare commodity.
Yeah, yes. It's pretty much one more spot left in the top 8, which is the 8th position.
And speaking on that 8th position, one team that won't be in contention for that is the Canberra Raiders after going down to the Manly Sea Eagles, 19 points to 18. Is this another case of the second half fade out for Ricky Stewart?
It's starting to look like that way, doesn't it? Well, and the Raiders faded out, like they were leading 12-0 at the break. 12-0 and then blew it.
And it started on the right edge of Manly. And just Olakawatu, what a prospect he has developed into since being named to start in the second row.
Yeah, he has been such a brilliant player for him this season, and he has had, I'm going to say it, he's had a breakout season this year, Olakawatu.
I definitely think it is. I mean, you look at Curtis Sirenin, who for the longest time over the last 3 years was a preferred edge for Manly. Him and Joel Thompson were preferred second rowers. Then, of course, Thompson left for St. Helens. Then, and Olakawatu, who came to the fore, as well as Jack Gajeski. Gajeski hasn't worked out so far. Olakawatu's gotten this start thanks to Des Hasler. And he's kicked off from there. And it's the same story, really, with Josh Schuster. Both of these guys started off, well, in Schuster's case, they thought he was a 5'8" / a halfback, moved him onto an edge. Bang, suddenly, and he's a very good prospect as a second rower, and Olakawatu on the other side. Manly have just found a way just to keep winning.
Yeah, and this game they didn't have Tommy Turbo as well, and they still managed to win. Unlike last time.
Absolutely remarkable the way Des Hasler has lifted this Manly side. Like, what's in the water at Brookvale? What's at the water, say, on the Sunshine Coast? No story. Even hell, just having Tom Trebojevic around the squad in general.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it goes to show that the form that Manly have in, they can afford to not have Turbo and still manage to win.
But they can't afford it in the big games. We're talking Penrith,
no.
We're talking Melbourne, and we're talking South Sydney. Those are going to be the 3 big games Manly have to be ready for if and when they meet either one of those sides in the finals. That's going to be the big thing for them.
Oh, definitely it would be, and I'd say they are preparing themselves as the finals edge ever so closer.
As for the Raiders, I think everything is sort of got turned on its head. First, Nickel Cookstad goes down with a neck injury in round 5. Only now does he come back. George Williams gets homesick. And his partner's about to be pregnant, so he had to go home. And now he's back at Warrington on a fresh challenge. And then the second half fade out, so the results have just compounded on top of that. Then the thing with Curtis Scott and John Bateman's blown up recently. It started out with promise for the Raiders, but unfortunately it's just gone downhill after all of that adversity against them.
It definitely did, and it looked like they were starting to turn things around. I think it was against the Cowboys. They started a bit of a winning run, but then it's just gone back to old ways pretty much since then.
And it's unfortunate because we'd like to see the Raiders do well.
Yeah,
they're an exciting team to watch.
It's like everyone's second favourite team in a way.
Yeah,
the Raiders.
They're not winning any fans at the moment with the way they have been playing, and it is very much unfortunate. Now,
yes, it is.
The blockbuster that was billed, the Panthers, down in the Rabbitohs, 25 points to 12.
Man. What a game we had on hand. Unbelievable scenes. It looked like it was building to be a repeat of the earlier game at the same ground, the Raiders-Seagulls match. But Coruscant, in the last minute of the match, decided to put that to bed.
Well, really, it was on a nice edge at halftime. And then I think the biggest controversy of that game, because it basically took the Rabbitohs did everything right in the first half. I'll put it that way. They did everything right. But they just couldn't defend against the undefendable. There was 3 kicks when you get Nathan Cleary and then Stephen Crichton. They were not expecting kicks down the Penrith right edge from Paul Momirovski twice.
Well, no,
in
I
the
don't think
space of
any
10
team
minutes.
would have
That was the first factor that turned everything on its head.
Yeah.
At about those kicks that went up. Then the penalty. And I think you know which penalty I'm referring to here.
Yes.
The technicality of the so-called downtown rule that ruled that Mark Nichols was offside when the Rabbitohs were leading the kick chase, and instead of forcing Penrith to come out of their own half, penalties awarded, and then right after that, guess what? Brett Nathan scores, turns the game on its head in favour of Penrith, and they kick on to win the game.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it? Again, ruining things it doesn't need to ruin.
Yes. So you reckon that was an unfair penalty?
I reckon it was. I think it definitely turned the game in Penrith's favour.
Yeah. I strongly believe it was an unfair penalty, and obviously the referees didn't want to see Penrith win, so I believe the referees were favouring Penrith in that call.
It just boggles my mind that we have all these camera angles and the bunker explicitly told you're not allowed to rule on on-field play, and then they make a moment where they rule on an on-field decision.
Exactly. They really need to do a deep review into how the bunker is used for next season come the end of the season, or even starting to do that review now before the finals, because if that happens in the finals, there is going to be a big uproar if the same thing occurs in the finals match.
This is the 4th time the Rabbitohs have lost to the top 2 teams this year. Yeah, of course, both encounters with the Melbourne Storm and now both clashes with Penrith.
At least this one was a bit more respectable than the other one.
Sort of a bit more respectable, sure, but they've lost against the top 2 teams twice. 4 times all up. Of course, they've beaten the Roosters once, they've beaten the Eels twice convincingly, but they've not matched up with the 2 best sides. And if they're going to be the ones that denies either Melbourne or Penrith in the grand final, because I still believe they can make the grand final, they've got to pull something out of the hat, a trick that Wayne has not yet stunned the whole league with. I'm
sure Wayne Bennett will definitely be pulling that trick sooner rather than later, to be honest.
And the good news for the Panthers fans is they're going to get reinforcements over the coming weeks, but that's coming up a little bit later on. Leaving cliffhanger right there. Not a very good one, but still, nevertheless. Now, the Sharks up at Rockhampton had a feeding frenzy, downing the West Tigers 50 points to 20.
There goes the Tigers' hopes of the finals confirmed. They had a very, very slim chance heading into this match, but now it's rubbed out. Although I do believe they can still mathematically make it if results go their way.
And that's a big if, because I'm thinking there's at least 2 or 3 results that they need to go their way per round.
Oh, yes.
Involving the Sharks, the Titans, and the Knights to still get into the top 8.
Yes. And but the chance of that happening is very low. Yeah. Non-existent.
The Sharks dominated probably the majority of the first half and then a large part of the second half as they just went on an ultimate rampage.
They certainly did. And Mulatalo was in everything.
Nalo Mulatalo had a brilliant game. I think him and Sione Katoa, they both had standout games. Katoa in particular, I'm focusing on 2 tries, 1 try assist, 128 running meters, and 4 tackle breaks. Both sides of the field well, very fluent and just opening up the Tigers everywhere.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to point out Ronaldo Mulatalo. He could have easily got his third try earlier on, but no, he decided to pass it on to Luke Metcalf to get his first ever try. Great sportsmanship right there.
It is. It's like Corey Allen, round 20 last year, passing the ball to Alex Johnston, knowing he could break a try scoring record.
Yeah, pretty much, but this one's for your first try, but good on Ronaldo Mulatalo.
Yeah, it's still the same thing. As for the Tigers, I don't know where they went after they scored first. It's just like, scored first, put the cue on the rack, and then the Sharks just opened up after that, and they didn't let up. Not until full time when they put a final nail in the coffin of Michael Maguire's season this year.
Well, yeah. It'll be interesting to see Michael Maguire's reaction on the Tales of Tiger Town doco series.
I still have to watch the third episode. I've only watched as far as episode 2 on that, so if you want to watch it, it'll be on Fox Sport, or it's probably Foxtel On Demand, or if you don't have that, for a cheaper option, you can find it on KO Sports, or it's as Tales from Tiger Town.
Yes. Trust me, it's a must-watch.
Yeah, it is. We're not just making it clear. We're not sponsored by KO, Fox Sports, or the NRL, or probably anyone with a brain at this point in time. And just what I mentioned that, so no one comes after us with big henchmen and leather pipes. Well, not leather pipes, steel pipes. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just one of those random spiels you go on. But I still can't believe the Sharks are still in the finals race.
Me neither. I thought they're all done. Well, not all done for, but a very low chance of making the finals. But here they are, still in contention with 2 weeks to go.
My theory is they need to win 2 games. The last 2 games they played. They need to beat the Broncos on Saturday, and they need to beat the Melbourne Storm next Friday. Even if they get 1 win, they still need 1 result to go their way to ensure they climb into the top 8. And for and against will still play a huge role at that as well.
Yes, and even if they do make the finals, I don't think they'll go very deep like they did last year. They just scraped in last year and got knocked out.
They didn't even make it that deep last year. They got bowed out by the Raiders in the first week.
Yeah, knocked out. That's pretty much what I said. They made it first week and got knocked out straight away.
And more than likely, they will have to face the Roosters if they finish 8th.
It's a big if.
It is definitely a big if.
But where to now for Tigers? Honestly, I don't know. It's just playing for pride
back to the drawing board, dump Luke Brooks, get Jackson Hastings in as fast as you can, and then build that halves combination between himself and Adam Dewey. That's all I can really say.
Yeah.
Now, we have in the second of the Saturday triple header, the Canterbury Bulldogs, despite putting in a valiant fight, going down to the Newcastle Knights 22-16.
Look, when I saw the Knights were winning by a fair bit, I thought, Knights are still going to get on with this. But then I sort of saw later on there in the game, I thought, hang on a second, the Dogs can still win this match. I thought Knights were absolutely going to trounce them. But no.
I think that's the expectation of literally everyone with a brain.
Yeah. No, but the Dogs almost came in and did a massive upset.
Almost.
And would have opened the top 8 race a lot wider.
The kicks from Lachlan Lewis to set up both Nick Meaney and Jaden Ockenball were probably the craziest things. Well, not necessarily Nick Meaney's try. That was probably your run-of-the-mill, kick to the in goal, fullback chases through. But Ockenball's try.
Unbelievable.
Talk about defying gravity, physics, and literally logic. Like, just to ground that.
How did he get it in with very minimal room left for taking it dead?
A firm hand and grounding on that. That's what I'd like to know.
Well, that too. That was unbelievable, that try. And Ryan James in his last game on the part of the loan deal, well, good on him.
Yeah, of his final cameo at Canterbury. He bows out on the try, but Unfortunately, we're not going to see Luke Thompson for the rest of the year after failing to overturn his ban at the judiciary, nor are we going to see Adam Elliott for the rest of the year either after his, well, let's just say some improper consensual relationships in some very, how do I put this? Some very improper settings. Not good.
Yes,
Not good at all.
no, it's not good at all. And they're two key players that the Dogs have been relying on throughout the whole season to try and help them move off the bottom of the ladder, but now losing them two players, well, let's see how they
honestly,
still go.
Before even this game, I think it was an absolute certainty that the Bulldogs were going to end up with the wooden spoon. No matter how badly the Broncos seem to perform in stages in contrast to Canterbury, somehow the Broncos find a way to stay above them on the ladder, and we're just going to be left biting
With the
wood
spoon.
for several months.
Well, put it this way: the Dogs are lucky to to miss the spoon last year,
Extremely lucky.
but this time around, the Broncos have had the better run of form to
Definitely putting
stretch the
better.
lead beyond doubt.
Even though the Broncos have been still absolute trash, it is not as trash as compared to Anthony Seibold and the 2020 season.
Oh, definitely.
I will say that. The Broncos have been much improved, and this is exactly where I saw the Broncos. Not moving anywhere far, but definitely winning more games than they actually did.
Yeah. But if the same thing happens to the Bulldogs next year, like except without a new coach because we'll have to keep Trent Barrett on for another season, the new squad players, the new players that have come into the Dogs will hopefully turn that around so they move away from the bottom of the ladder.
I honestly hope they do turn things around.
I can see it.
I think all we need, it's like the story at some other clubs that they have good sides, but they're just lacking a good dummy half. I think if Marshall King doesn't work out, we need to go after the cheese. I think plain and simple. We put the cheese in, we give him his start as a dummy half, and I think then 2023 moving forward, the Dogs are a top 8 challenger, if not by that stage a top 4 contender.
Well, I said it earlier this season, or earlier on in the earlier episodes, that Dogs will be top 8 next year. I've said that numerous times.
I'm still heavily optimistic about next year, especially next year with the caliber of player we're getting in. Now, moving on, the Parramatta Eels finally getting a win after a while against the North Queensland Cowboys, 32-16. Are Parramatta still within a shout of the top 4?
I like to say yes, but realistically, no. We knew that the Cowboys was going to be an easier opponent for the Eels to win, so we knew this one was going to be a win for Parramatta. But I don't think it'll be enough for top 4.
So you think maybe 5th at best and 7th at worst?
Yeah, pretty much. I think either Roosters or Manly will get the better of Eels.
Fair enough. But I will say this, Mitchell Moses definitely had a much better game than he has in recent times. 87 running meters, 3 try assists, 1 tackle break, and 3 goal line dropouts.
You know, that's one of his best performances since he's come back from his injury.
Oh yeah, his lower back injury, of course. And Will Penasini bagging his first try in the NRL. That was a highlight.
Always good to see. He loves young blokes getting their tries.
I honestly felt like Parramatta tried a little bit too hard at stages. It looked like they were in some sets they weren't going anywhere, and then in other sets it looked like they were pushing one pass too many, and then they just turned the ball over cheaply.
That is true. I can see why you're saying that. Like, they probably didn't really need to go in, like what you said, some parts of the game didn't really have to be playing as hard as what they did, but yeah. But you never know with the Cowboys, though. Like, they could have, if the Eels backed off a little bit, the Cowboys could have come out of nowhere to surprise everyone. But
It
I
was
can
just
see
not enough.
No, not at all.
Look, I think this is just Tom Dearden is running out of time, and I think he has to know that the moment Chad Townsend arrives, he is on the outer at the Cowboys, despite having that. Actually, he's still got about 3 years left on his deal, doesn't he?
I think so.
3.5 year deal, and already he's not won a game for the Cowboys. Can't remember the last time he got a win up at the Broncos. So he's still on the losing side there.
Yeah. Look, I'd say the Cowboys will keep him, but not in the starting side. They'll probably keep him in the reserve grade in case Townsend or Drinkwater goes down.
So much for being the next Alfie Langer, didn't they say?
Well, at the moment, yes. You never know. Maybe if you put him back to reserve grade for a year or two, or not 2 years, that's a bit harsh. For like a little while, he might re-find his form and try and force his way into the side, but you never know.
I think getting back on the Parramatta, the other big blow they have to contend with is that Micah Sevo has been ruled out for the rest of the season and at least for the first 2 months of the Premiership next year.
Yeah, it's very, very unfortunate there for Sevo and Parramatta. He's been a very dominant force.
It's a big blow. At the worst possible time to lose your best strike weapon right on the cusp of the final series.
Yeah.
There is nothing more crueler than that.
No. And rugby league is cruel at times, and
she can definitely be a cruel mistress. Now, the 2 games on Sunday, we start off with the Sydney Roosters downing the St. George Illawarra Dragons 40 points to 22 at the Clive Burkhofer Stadium in Toowoomba. Any comment on that? Okay, I think this is one of those parts where we might have technical difficulties once more ensuing.
Yeah, sorry, that was my fault. My end.
What did you do?
It's just, it was trying to, it's got come up as poor connection, so, it was just
one of those things.
Getting stronger. Yeah.
Lockdown life, ladies and gentlemen, isn't it fun when you're not recording stuff in person?
When it works, yes, it's fine, but when it doesn't work, well, it's terrible.
So anyway, your assessment on St. George Illawarra's performance against the Roosters?
Well, look, I thought I knew we were going to lose this game, but the performance that we did put in at stages throughout the game was actually quite surprising. When we hit the lead, I thought, I'm seeing this. Am I clearly seeing this or not? And I was right, but it didn't last long at all.
I remember just sitting there, and I got the old man. He's in there as well. Of course, he's a St. George Illawarra or a supporter. I'm not going to hold that against him.
Good
and
taste.
He's definitely had much more to cheer about than I have. Apart from Queen's birthday, I can still hold on to that memory.
Be quiet about that.
But no, I remember. I think it was 14-12 in favour of the Roosters still at this stage. They put the bomb up. It comes down with, I think it was Jack Bird in the in goal. He takes it out to the 20. Takes the tap. Very quick tap. Happy takes. Finds Zach Lomax, who's come from the right-hand side of the field where he usually defends and attacks, to the other side of the field, to be on the outside shoulder of Jack Bird, and then Matt Fiamé.
Yeah.
Finishes off a beautiful long-range try, even with, I think, who was trying to chase him down?
I don't think it was Tedesco.
I think it might be Sam Walker actually trying to chase him down. Wow. Just absolutely wow. The Dragons turning it on that note.
Yeah. And being up at Toowoomba, we've had good history at Toowoomba. When we played. Well, we've had 1 win, 1 loss up at that ground, so it's, I think we're the only club that's played 2 regular season matches up there.
But even with that try, it was just not enough because guess who came from nowhere, of course, amongst the NRL fans, considered to be the best captain of the year, And my stand-up player, James Tedesco, 318 running meters, 4 try assists, 12 tackle breaks, 1 offload, and none from 1 goals converted. He really needs to stop taking shots at goal because he just can't do it.
But Takihaho was off the field. I don't know what the go is with Sam Walker and not goal kicking. Sutton is still up with that. I still don't know what though.
I think it's still injury related. I think at the moment.
But they still got Drew Hutchison out there who's done goal kicking in the past as well. So, look, I don't know.
But just Tedesco, just absolute craziness. Just you didn't guard the middle of the field well at all. The moment offload started popping, Tedesco was running.
Yep, and we got a bit.
And the
what
fact
you
that
say?
The Roosters were down to 50, and another thing that has to be taken into account: the Roosters were down to 15 men at one stage. No Dale Copley, and I believe no Adam Kieran either. So you had second rowers defending in the centres, and Joey Manu once again out on the wing.
Yes.
And you still lost.
Yes, the story of the Dragon season.
You need to fix that up.
Look, hopefully we will in the next season, heading into next season. So now it's just pretty much playing. Now I believe it's just saying, who's going to be playing kind of where for the start of next season, adding in a few recruits here or there, I believe.
Yeah.
That's how I see it anyway.
Well, especially George Burgess, for one, for a bit more middle grunt, if he can actually make it to Dragons pre-season camp in November after his road race incident just today.
Yes. And then young Jaden Sullivan, he's coming through really well.
I don't see him as a dummy half. I see him more as a 5'8".
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. So he will be a 5'8" replacing Corey Norman. Because with the news of Adam Clooney potentially going to Newcastle, well, it's pretty much a given to Jaden Sullivan.
And finally, for round 23, the Brisbane Broncos, surprising us all with a win over the Warriors, 24 points to 22.
What a thriller of a game. Look, I did tip the Brisbane Broncos to win, and I did get it right. It was a very, very 50-50 game. What let the Warriors down, I believe, was the goal kicking from Reece Walsh. Only one from 5.
I feel sorry for Reece Walsh. And that's not even the most shocking part of it. The most shocking part of that was the Broncos, I think, were up 24-18 at this point. And then Ewan Aiken claims he scores the try that could level the game off and send it to golden point. The referee sends it up as a no try. And we're looking. We see Coates has grounded the ball. So we're thinking, all right, so that's done and dusted. That's the Warriors' final chance. No try. And then, again, the same bunker that turned the tide against South says Ewan Aiken has grounded the ball in the in goal. We have a decision. And I think everyone's dumbfounded by the green lights that were given for that try. And it's just like, what?
Well,
it must be some bloody good forensics if they've determined Ewan Aiken has grounded the ball.
That's what exactly I thought. They must have had a magnifying glass, a very big magnifying glass, to try and figure that out.
I know many could probably argue simultaneous grounding, but doesn't Ewan Aiken have to touch the ball instead of touching Coates to claim that it's simultaneous grounding? Not one out there.
I believe so. If it's simultaneously grounding by the defending team, in this case the Broncos, and the attacking team, the Warriors, if Aiken had
the attacking team, but what I want to know is, we all could see Xavier Coates was touching the ball. What I want to know is, where was Ewan Aiken's hand on the ball, or that would even contemplate thinking about awarding the try?
His hand wasn't
based
there.
On simultaneous grounding ruling. I didn't see it. No one saw it, but yet somehow we're meant to trust the bunker saw that? Give me a break. Give me a break.
But it definitely did set up for a brilliant finish, though.
Yeah, it definitely did. Unfortunately, Reece Walsh the pressure got to him at the end. And I mean,
Being
He's
back
had
up
a bit
his
of a good.
old,
He has had a good year, and he wanted to really show the Broncos they made a mistake letting him go. It's just unfortunate. When the time came, unfortunately, he did not necessarily stand up the way he wanted to stand up.
but he still put in a good performance regardless, though.
I will tell you someone who did put in a good performance and one who won the game, Anthony Milford, and I don't
Oh
think that has really been it's really been said that often this year.
no, it has
One
not.
try, 2 try assists, 149 running meters, 5 tackle breaks, and I think everyone was thinking the same thing. Where was this for 5 years?
Exactly. He has found shades of 2015.
I don't even think
He
2015. I think sort of like 2016, 17. If I'm being quite fair.
Okay then, but where has this been all season though?
This is the Anthony Milford the Broncos were willing to throw $1 million at a year.
But he had a brilliant game. He was involved in everything. He set up. I can't remember who he set up. I think he set up Albert Kelly. Did he set up? No, he set up Xavier Coates. That's right, one of Xavier Coates' tries. But that was unbelievable by Milford.
And it's just unfortunate that that would be his second to last home game as a Bronco before he links up with the Rabbitohs next year.
Yes. I
But,
still don't know how he's going to go at South, but you never know.
well, we all pay the price for it at some point, and he's going to. Maybe his career gets revised at South, and then he makes a comeback somewhere else. I don't know for sure. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. In
Yes.
the meantime, though,
Red,
round 24.
just quickly,
Go on.
how ridiculous was Albert Kelly's try? Like, seriously. Come on. That, like, I'm saying ridiculously as in a good way, not in a bad way. The Broncos just played like it's when they were in the like a top side.
Like they were
Like,
the top 8.
yeah, it's ridiculous how well, like, ridiculously good that they played that well. And now I'll shut up.
Yeah, that's the way it often goes. Now, round 24, 2 weeks to go. Who would have thought we would have made it here, even with if some of the crazy decisions that have been made in recent weeks? But we start off, Newcastle Knights playing host to the Gold Coast Titans, and Justin Holbrook has run in the changes. Ash Taylor has been dropped, as well as Greg Marju ruled out. So Philip Sami is lifted to start on the wing in place of Marju, while Tyrone Peachy has been named to start at 5'8" alongside Jamal Fogarty, and Mawaki Fotaweka is back on the bench.
For the Knights, Clemmer is going to be out due to a 1-match suspension. So his place has been taken by Suaso Su. Prezell is back in the second row, and Brody Jones reverts back to the bench. Alongside Randall King and Momo Isa, is that, I think that pronounced correctly there,
I believe that is the case.
and that's pretty much unchanged. I believe.
I think, win or lose, Newcastle have locked their place in the top 8.
I think this.
They
if
have locked off 7th place. I don't think, whether they win or lose this game, they are safe.
I think if they definitely win this game, it's definitely a confirmation they're in the 7, or in the 8. If they win.
I definitely think it is the case. Even if they lose both games, they will be in the top 8.
If results go in their favour, I think.
I think it would require the Sharks to beat the Melbourne Storm that Newcastle would probably not. No, not even that. I think, as I said, it would take the Sharks' freak win to beat both the Broncos and the Melbourne Storm, and for the Knights to drop both of their games to even think about falling out of the top 8. Other than that, I think they are safe.
Yeah. Look, considering where they were, not that too long ago, a couple months ago, we thought the Knights were gone. And like I said draw a red line through them, and they changed that back very quickly 2 weeks ago.
The right edge of Newcastle, I think, is still a major problem defensively.
Well, I agree.
And even without David Fafita causing havoc down that left hand and edge, he is still a danger every time he comes onto the field.
Oh, no doubt about that. And if the Knights can do what the South did to the Titans last week with David Fafita coming on, they should be able to win this match easier. But you never know. Or even like the Dogs gave Newcastle a bit of a scare last week.
They definitely were.
But you should think the Knights will get over this Titans side.
So you're back in the Knights then, are you?
In a 1-12 margin, it's going to be a tight one, but I've got to say the rate that Tawala has been scoring as of late, the Titans will be trying to shut him down. But I'm going to say the Knights will win by a mere 12 points.
So you say Knights win 1-12? I'm going to go the other way. I think the Titans come home with a wet sail 1-12 here.
We have to wait and see what happens, I guess.
Well, it's only tomorrow night by the time we're recording this. Now,
well, yes.
Next game sees the New Zealand Warriors playing host to the Canberra Raiders up in Mackay. A bit of a boost for the Raiders. Corey Horsburgh back in the side, pushing Dynamis Louis back to the reserves, and Saliva Havili also named on the interchange in the only 2 changes for Ricky Stewart's side.
For the New Zealand home side, Josh Curran is in doubt after copping a head knock last week with a short 5-day turnaround not helping out in that case. Eli Katoa has also been named but is also in doubt with a foot injury. In reserves, Rocco Berry and Kane Evans are in reserves, and Sean O'Sullivan is the new 5'8", with Chanel Harris-Tavita out for a week, also with a foot injury. You've got Nicarema still on the bench. I'd say if Eli Katoa is ruled out, Jermaine... Oh, I don't know who would replace Eli Katoa if he is ruled out. But still got Reece Walsh at fullback, Sullivan and Townsend in the halves, and Egan still at hooker. But Josh Curran is a big loss if he is ruled out.
Well, Josh Curran has been heavily underrated in this Warriors pack. I mean, we look at the big names. We look at Fanua Blake. We look at Matt Lodge, Ben Murdoch-Masila when he has been playing. Tohu Harris is consistent middleman, and that does a good job for the Warriors.
No, he has been doing a brilliant job, Josh Curran, this season. And it's paid off by scoring tries as well, which is brilliant to see.
Not to mention setting them up. He's been setting tries.
And that too.
That too. Well. Now you're going to ask Fanua Blake and Matt Lodge to go up against Josh Papali'i. Arguably, even though he's in an underperforming side, you would have to say Papali'i is still the best front rower going around in the Premiership at the moment.
Yes, but it's going to be a big battle between those two, don't get me wrong.
Oh, and I've also forgot to mention that Matt Frawley is starting at halfback over Sam Williams.
Oh, yeah. How did we miss that?
Oh, I missed that. I was reading out the away side.
Well, even I did.
The home side.
Well, I didn't pick it up either.
Okay. The Raiders have been close in games, but they haven't been close enough to finish them off. And I don't know what's gone wrong and how Ricky Stewart solves it. Bottom line, he's not going to solve it at the end of this year. I think he'll strip it back for 2022. He might even see a different Canberra Raiders side run out than the one we've got right now. For me, it's going to be the Warriors taking over the Bacon, 1-12.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Warriors will win by 8 points, and still have a chance of making the top 8.
Still a long way to go, though. Well, not that long. It's not much time left, but they still need a lot of results
It
to go
is.
their way.
Exactly.
Now, as the second part of a Suncorp or double... Oh, no. All right, your Suncorp Stadium blockbuster, I'm going to say. The Sydney Roosters playing host to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Unfortunately for the Rabbitohs, as there will be no Kian Cole Matangi or Josh Mansour, both ruled out. Of course, Josh Mansour with that absolute horrible cut above his eye, as well as injuring both of his knees for this. So Jackson Paulo is back in the side on the right wing, while Jaden Sewer is lifted into the starting set and can row with Jacob Host back in. Well, I think actually the bench is the same as it was last week, but Liam Knight has been re-added to the inner check to the reserves and could be called up at any time by Wayne Bennett.
Yes. For the Roosters, there have been some changes. Let's start off with Takihaho. He will be monitored throughout the week after copping the head knock, so whether or not he will play will be wait to be seen. Adam Kieran is out with a head knock. Nat Butcher is out with a knee, and Dale Copley is also out because he's been. Trent Robinson has been unable to name a 21-man squad. We've got Lachlan Lamb starting in centres. Sorry. In place, I presume he's still in place of Josh Morris.
And Adam Kieran, who has been starting in the centres.
Yes. Brad Abbey is on the wing as Manu moves into the centres.
Still in the centres.
Still in the centres, yeah, but Brad Abbey comes onto the wing. Ben Marshke is on the bench along with White, Fletcher Baker, and Ben Thomas.
I don't know where the Roosters go from here if they can't name a 21-man squad with all the injuries they've had. This would have to be up to $5 million of the salary cap on the sideline at the moment, wouldn't it?
You go close, but they have named 20, so they're only one short, but still.
That's 17 fit players they still have. Your 18th man, and then maybe two extra reserves you got after that.
Yes.
That are healthy.
Yes. Look, if Roosters was fit and firing this game, it's still going to be a blockbuster. But if Roosters were more full strength, it will be even more of a blockbuster.
I mean, this is, for Australian Rugby League, this is the rivalry. Outside of Origin, this is the rivalry. The two oldest names in Australian Rugby League, right here, right now.
Yeah.
And of course, the Rabbitohs have injury concerns of their own. Of course, Mansour, Kolola, Matangi. But also Damien Cook is still under a bit of an injury cloud. If he doesn't play, Peter Mamazelis does. But all in all, I still think the way the Rabbitohs are playing, especially down the left-hand side in the form of Cody Walker, I think they're going to blow the Roosters apart and they'll win 13+.
It's going to be a very, very tight game. It's a preview to the finals. Obviously, these two teams might not be playing each other, but it's still like a finals atmosphere a finals atmosphere game, if you get what I'm saying. The Rabbitohs are in the better form. I'm going to say Rabbitohs to win by 2.
2-point win.
Yeah.
But we're still going to get a good game nevertheless.
Yes.
Now, back in Rockhampton, St. George Illawarra Dragons playing host to the North Queensland Cowboys, and Todd Payton has swung the axe once more. Cohen Hess dropped again, presumably, as well as Eliluma Elu also out as well. Hamiso Tabuai Fido starting at fullback, with Valentine Holmes joining Ben Hampton in the centres as Murray Talagi is named on the wing. Jason Taumalolo named at front row, with Ruben Cotter starting at lock forward, with Mitch Dunn I believe, pushed back to the bench, although he might have already been there. Tom Gilbert dropped to the reserve, brought in on the reserves. Of course, Carl Felt back in. And the try-scoring debutant, Latia Mosedreke, also back to the reserves.
And the Dragons have made changes yet again. No Matt Duffy again. So Tyrell Sloan is at fullback. Ravalawa has been named but will be monitored throughout the week. Junior Mona and Corey Norman are still the halves. Freddie Lussick, 2-week loan deal from the Roosters, is off the bench in jersey number 14. Jaden Sullivan's still in the
Starting at dummy half.
Still at dummy half, yes, with Josh McGraw in the front row. Front row, I'll get it right in a minute. Cade Ellis, Farmasili, Beale and Kerr are on amongst the reserves list, and I believe that's all the changes.
I honestly don't know where St George Illawarra go after losing to a 15-man Roosters side.
Well, I believe this is going to be the last victory the Dragons should get for the rest of the season.
Rabbitohs.
Yeah, it's going to be the last victory of the year for the Dragons. But it's finally good to see Jason Talamolo on an edge. I think he's on an edge.
He's not on edge. He's in the middle, in the front
in the
row.
middle. Sorry, my bad.
I honestly don't know what the hell Todd Payton is doing at this point.
But I've heard somewhere that Talamolo, his game is straight and hard. If he can do that in the middle, there'll be could be a much better off for the Cowboys with Ruben Cotter being at lock. But you never know.
Yeah, I think it's very much hard to read, but the fact that the Cowboys have one of their best forwards back on the field, I don't know if he stays at front row for the majority of the game, or they bring him off after the first 25 and they put him on at lock for the final 20, and just so he can terrorize the middle of the field. I don't know how it goes.
Well, we all know how the Cowboys go without Talamolo out in the field.
Oh, yeah.
Horrendous.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to actually tempt fate here. I'm actually going to tip the Cowboys to get home in a 1-12 margin.
Okay. Like I said earlier, I'm actually going to go for the Dragons and tip them for the first time in a while. It's like I said, I believe it's our last chance to get a win this season, because next week we all know who we're playing in South Sydney. Dragons, I'm going to tip to win by 14.
So you're tipping Dragons 13+ win. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see how optimistic you are after 80 minutes.
I'll probably be curled up in a ball crying. Now,
the Cronulla Sharks hosting the Brisbane Broncos, which is totally not weird at all, considering it's at Suncorp Stadium. The Broncos running out an unchanged lineup after beating the Warriors last week, so nothing really much to say about that.
For the Sharks, Metcalf and Trindle are still named despite Matt Moylan's successful return last week. Moale Hirote has been named as a replacement for Ronaldo Mulatalo after injuring his jaw. Connor Trace remains in the centres, while Aiden Tolman returns from his one-match suspension via the bench. Jensen told... You might have had to help me here. Jensen Tolmoapeu is on the...
Moapau, I would probably think. That's the closest I can probably get to it. Or Moapau.
Thank you. Lou... I'm going to get this one too.
I'd probably think Janat Ialua.
Yeah, he's also reserves alongside Billy McGulius and Kai O'Donnell, with Moylan, Ueli, Tolman and Wilt Teague Wilton on their interchange.
You got a feel for Billy Magoulias. The bloke gets a bit of game time after not really getting much game time, or not playing that many games all up this year. And the moment Aiden Tolman comes back and he says, Bill, I'm sorry, mate, you're out again.
Yeah. No wonder he is looking for another club.
Well, I think every club would be after a bloke that can play 5'8", lock forward, dummy half. It's got a nice little kicking game that can win you a grand final or a state championship.
Well, I believe the first time talks about his future came up, I think the Dragons were interested at one stage, but not quite sure if that's still the case or not.
Jack de Belin, that's all I got to say on the matter.
Oh, there you go. If de Belin wasn't able to play, then he was a chance of signing with the Dragons. But anyway. But there's still multiple clubs out there that could use his services.
You look at the way both the Sharks and the Broncos played over the weekend. You could have easily substituted the Tigers for the Broncos in that game, and the Sharks still put on a massive scoreline.
You could.
Now, Brisbane have had the tendency to unsettle the Sharks in certain games in the last couple of years. It's against all odds in some stages.
Well, yeah.
I don't see it this time round. I think the Sharks put the foot down and they say to the Broncos, know your place. We're going to be playing finals. You're not.
Okay. It does Suncorp Stadium. Yes, the Broncos are away. But you got that southwestern corner that's been a magnet to the Broncos forwards this season.
Forwards, coats, does it really make a difference?
I reckon it will. Because I'm tipping the Broncos to win by 6.
All right, so you're going Broncos 1-12. Well, I think off the back of Aiden Trindle's game and just firepower on both sides, even without Ronaldo Mulatalo, I think Connor Tracy and Sione Katoa are going to have a field day down the Sharks' right-hand edge, and they're going to come home 13-plus victors.
We have to wait and see what happens on that one.
Well, we won't have to wait long, just a couple of days. Now, in the doubleheader, the Melbourne Storm host the Parramatta Eels in the Saturday night game that will be simulcasted on Channel 9. Of course, the Eels have no Micah Sebo for the rest of the year, and as mentioned before, not until probably round 9, 2022. So Blake Ferguson is back in the lineup as Hayes Dunster is shifted over to the left wing. Isaiah Papali'i still named in the front row. 04, Brad Arthur's side, with Jake Arthur added to the reserves and Keegan Hipgrave pushing, I believe, either Will Smith or Oregon Kafusi back to the reserves, with Ray Stone getting a chance.
With the Melbourne Storm side, we have got Jerome Hughes is back in the starting side, and Tui Kamakamika is in the reserves, who could maybe be a late inclusion. So Nico Hines is back to the bench with... Yeah, Nico Hines is coming back to the bench with Hughes returning. Brandon Smith and Justin Oluma also back in the side after being rested last week. And the Storm are on target to break the record.
That record being Eastern Suburbs' record of 19 consecutive wins in the regular season. If they beat the Eels on Saturday night, they will move past the Roosters' 1975 record with 20 straight wins in the regular season.
Yes, and I think there's another record they can break, but I can't remember what it is on the top of my head at the moment.
For and against, isn't it? The first team to register a for and against of 500.
That too, and I think there's another one as well. I can't remember what one it was, but yeah, they've broken so many records this year, Melbourne Storm.
A lot of point-scoring records have fallen this year.
Well, not just on Melbourne either.
Well, I think most of them are Melbourne. Oh, well, most of them Melbourne. Ruben Garrick, the other one, for the Manly Sea Eagles.
Adam Reynolds, South Sydney.
Oh, yep, Adam Reynolds beating Eric Sims' 1,841 points.
But most of them have been
At least
Melbourne.
they didn't have to kick 82-point field goals.
Yes, that's true.
Look, I think we all know which way this is going, even though the Eels played well against the Melbourne Storm in round 2 and they have gotten a win recently. They're not coming into this game with a lot of confidence at Suncorp Stadium, where the Melbourne Storm have had a lot of success in the past when they have been the home side. This is going to be a Storm 13-plus victory.
Storm, I'm going to make it 20 consecutive straight wins in a regular season. In the regular season, they're going to absolutely demolish the Eels. I reckon Storm are going to win by 48 points.
48.
Yeah,
Right.
they're going to destroy them.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the way we all see it. Now on Sunday, another doubleheader at the Moreton Daily Stadium in Redcliffe, where they could be the home of the future Redcliffe Dolphins, or maybe even the Sunshine Coast Dolphins, if the NRL does pick them to be the 17th team in the National Rugby League. Focusing on the Bulldogs lineup, there have been a slew of changes. Of course, no Adam Elliott because he was stood down. Corey Waddell is out. Luke Thompson has been suspended for the rest of the year. And Corey Horsburgh and Ryan James return home to Canberra. So with that, Ava Siamanfanai joins a new front row combination with Bailey Biondi-Odo and Jack Heverington also back from suspension. Matt Dury and Joe Stimson form a new second row combination with the skipper Josh Jackson. Brandon Wakeham back in the lineup after a long layoff, joining Ofahiki Ogden, Chris Patolo and Sione Katoa. Jackson Torpany, Ifalakiku Manu and Jake Avarillo all bumped off to the reserves, and Lachlan Lewis retained at 5'8".
Big inclusions with the Manly side. Trbojevic is back, Brad Parker is back, but he still needs to tick a few boxes, so Moses Sully is on standby in case Parker fails to complete the last little bits and pieces to make a return. Sirenen and Tapau are going to be back as well after both copying head knocks last week. Jack Gajeski, is among the reserves alongside Moses Sully, Cade Cuss and Kurt Lewis, and otherwise unchanged lineup.
We also know where this one's going, right? I think the last 3 games, we all know which way they're going to go.
The last 3 games, for this round?
Yep, in this round. We all know which way they're all going to go.
Well, except for me, because I tipped the Broncos. But the Storm in this game, I know which way it's going to go.
Manly win 13+. I think with all the changes in the Dogs forward pack, there probably won't be any consistency. Biondi-Odo will probably play all right, starting out at dummy half, but I think the Dogs are going to get absolutely creamed again. It has been the story of 2021 for us, especially after the way we got treated against Manly at Bankwest Stadium with that humiliating 66-0.
I was going to say that was a massive scoreline, wasn't it? Yeah. Look,
I'm surprised there have not been Order 66 memes executed against the Bulldogs. I'm just surprised none of those memes have popped up.
You're gonna absolutely hate me, which I'll let you punish me.
Hate.
Well, you're not gonna like.
I agree with you that the Dogs are going to get absolutely slaughtered.
Well, if I say Seagulls by 50,
it's probably expected.
Okay. 2 big blowout scores, and this one is going to be Seagulls by 50.
Yeah, that's just the way it's been for us.
50 plus, but I'm just going to say 50.
How many tries does Tom Trbojevic score? Does he score below his average, on his average, or even greater than his average?
Bold prediction, I'm going to say Tom Trbojevic is going to score 5 tries.
Wow, 5 tries. Okay.
Yep.
Right. I did ask.
You did ask.
All right, and finally,
you did ask.
The Penrith Panthers, in the second stage of the doubleheader, play host to the West Tigers. Of course, there is no Adam Dewey because he's also been ruled out for the rest of the year. here for the Tigers. Kalmatil Luggy also is out as well. So Jock Madden gets a start at 5'8" for the Tigers alongside Luke Brooks. And Alex Seyfarth is on the bench as well. Ukami Ihia Simpkins joins Billy Walters and Zach Sini in reserves alongside James Roberts. And I think those are the only changes, apart from Tom McKaylee returning in the front row.
Yes. Okay, so Penrith, they have got Dylan Edwards at fullback. Brian Toto returns on the wing. James Fisher-Harris also returns. Charlie Staines is named in reserves. Taylor May and Tyron May are also named in reserves alongside Targo. On the bench, you got Mitch Kenny, Scott Sorensen, Tavita Pengai Jr., and Liam Martin. Brent Naden and Matt Eisenhuth are out of the side due to the returns of Toto and Fisher-Harris, I believe. And that is pretty much it. So Penrith are now officially full strength.
Especially if Charlie Staines comes back as well. But I think after the performances Paul Momirovski has put in, he's probably going to hang on to that spot in the centres for the time being.
Yes. But it's unfortunate that Adam Dewey is out for the Tigers at a very, well,
there goes their winning opportunities for the rest of the year.
I was going to say a very critical game they
can't make the finals.
Well, if results go their way, they had a very slim chance, but it's still a big shot in the foot for the Tigers.
Well, I don't know how they're going to handle the Panthers, especially now that everyone's starting to get back into gear, and with Brian Toto back, this could be a perfect run-up for him heading into the final series, especially marking up against the Tigers' right edge defence and some Tommy Talau, still very inexperienced centre.
Yeah, and Panthers will definitely target Jock Madden.
Oh, they will. They'll be going down on the Tigers' right edge all day, all night. That's what they're going to do. Viliami kick-out will be unleashed on that poor bastard.
So, Luke Brooks has to step up big time.
Because technically speaking, he is still the captain of the West Tigers with no James Tarmo.
Yes. And there have been reports that Luke Brooks is being shopped around again. Or that's what I've heard anyway. Even though they denied it a month ago, there apparently have been talks that he's trying to get shopped around again. But you never know. It's all media speculation. I won't believe it until I see it.
Well, I think what we're going to see is the Panthers put up two very good auditions to show why they might be the premiers for this year.
Yeah. And I think we know where this one's going as well.
Oh, hell yeah. Penrith win 13+.
You're going to hate me because it's going to be another massive blowout score. I've gone Storm by 48, Seagulls by 50, Panthers by 44.
Yep. I'm not going to hate you because the Tigers aren't my team.
But no one likes blowout scores. But that's how I see the last three games of this round. Blowout scores.
You'll get that in any league. There's going to be periods of time where there are blowouts. But as we saw, there were also periods where the game was well refereed and it was tight all the way through.
Yes.
Well,
that's very true.
That is your NRL debrief for rounds 23 and 24. If you liked either this part or the first part with our interview we conducted with Mr. Troy Grant of the IRL, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the Sideline Chat podcast so you never miss a week of rugby league action. Hope you enjoy the footy over the weekend. We're going to be into some juicy blockbusters across all of Queensland and, of course, also the run-up to Magic Weekend in the Betfred Super League. Can you believe it'll be next weekend, and across Saturday and Sunday, Magic Weekend will be back at St. James Park in Newcastle.
It'll be very, I can't wait either, and hopefully my order that I put in will be here in time.
Maybe it will, maybe it won't, who knows. Along with Mark Henry, I am Connor Marcellus, and you have been listening to the Sideline Chat podcast. We'll see you next week.
Will do, folks. See us.